Well, I have something to tell you guys today. I really love my job, but I also really love being an architect too. I still think it's, in many ways, the greatest profession in the world. You get to work with really creative people all day, solving complex problems for diverse clients and watching their visions become a reality. And if architecture is done well, it has the capacity to transform people's lives. And I think that's probably why I loved it so much. And when I made the transition from architecture into politics, I thought, I can use those same skills and talents to transform people's lives. And then you realize really quickly that government and bureaucracy are really the opposite of innovation and creativity. There's a reason why you don't see much creativity in government. And it's not a big surprise that there's a lack of vision in government as well. There's lots of moving parts in a state like North Carolina, and I believe the governor is in the best vantage point to see all of those moving parts and bring them together. And I believe the governor is really the best person in the state to cast a vision for the state of North Carolina. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? This isn't a new concept at all. In fact, King Solomon, the wisest man to ever live, once said, "Without a vision, the people will perish." In a state like ours, without a vision, we're at least destined to look to our past for future inspiration and hope. I believe that we need a new vision and a thoughtful plan and the right team to lead us into the future. The world is getting smaller every single day, but competition is getting bigger. Every state in America and every country in the world is actually competing for the same jobs now. North Carolina has to compete. On a regular basis, I hear questions like this: why can't we win a BMW? Or why can't we win a Toyota? Or how come North Carolina can't win the big one? And if you live in North Carolina, that's pretty understandable. We have a great state. I think it's the best state in the country. We have the best people. We have the best universities. We have a great geography. Our climate is awesome. Regularly, we're ranked best place to live, best place to work, best place to raise a family. So why can't we win the big one? Why are so many world-class companies passing us by for their keystone projects? That's a fair question. It's nothing new. This has been happening for decades. We've seen it decade over decade. In fact, just recently we've seen it happen. We just recently watched the USDA and the United States Army Command Center and others choose to go to another state over North Carolina. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, we saw Bayer. We saw Bayer move its brand new crop science facility from the RTP to St. Louis, Missouri, at the exact same time that NC State University is investing $160 million into a new plant science facility to support companies just like Bayer. The question is, how can this happen? Well, let me just give you a quick story to illustrate exactly how this happens. Back in 2014 and 15, I was honored to represent the state of North Carolina at the International Air Show. Now, if you've never been to the International Air Show, let me set the stage for you really quick. When you go to the International Air Show, every single aerospace manufacturer in the world shows up. They fly in their planes, they set up their showrooms, and they're there to sell their wares to the world. I was the sole representative from the state of North Carolina, and I was actually pretty excited as Lieutenant Governor to get meetings with presidents and CEOs and the chairman of the board and all these high executives from all of these companies. And I thought this was pretty good. Meetings from sun up to sundown, about 5 days a week. But let me do a little comparison for you. Let's talk about the state of Alabama. I know, Alabama, right? It's Alabama. The state of Alabama. Their governor was there. Their 2 senators were there. They had other members of their House of Representatives, people from their state legislature, people from their education community. They had leaders, CEOs, business people from all over the state of Alabama, 80 people. They had 80 people in their delegation. North Carolina won, Alabama 80. Sounds like a college football score, doesn't it? So why is Alabama winning in aerospace? Why? We're not even in the game. If you want to win, you have to be in the game. The governor needs to have a team. You need to have a playbook. You need passion and perseverance. You have to go after it. We don't win because we're not even in the game. We need a new recruiter-in-chief for a governor who's going to do the hard work to make sure we're not only in the game, but we're winning the game. Now it's rare, very rare, to reel in the big fish. And I get it. I'll be the first to admit that. That's very hard work, and very few states actually do it. In fact, most victories are small jobs here and there. If you're in rural North Carolina, it's 5 or 10 jobs, and those are good jobs, and those are really worth celebrating, and we should celebrate it. Most business growth in North Carolina is small business growth, and we need to be aware of that. But wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if just one time we could win one of those transformative game changers? Think about BMW. I mentioned them a minute ago, but think about the transformation that BMW had on Greenville and Spartanburg. Not just Greenville, Spartanburg, but the state of South Carolina. And not just the state of South Carolina, but the entire region. Landing one big fish can change an entire region. And we have regions in our state that need that kind of transformation. I mean, there's actually an industry just like that right now. It's going on right underneath our eyes as we speak. Every major transportation company in the world is working on it. Every major aerospace company is working on it. In fact, many of our technology companies are actually working in this industry. Companies like Airbus and Boeing and Lockheed Martin and Sikorsky, companies like Google and Amazon and Facebook, they're all working on this industry. So what is this industry? Personal air travel. Personal air travel. Drones, small planes, vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, VTOLs for short. I call them lifts. I think it just makes more sense to call them lifts. But just imagine a day when personal air travel becomes a reality. And it becomes a reality and we begin to take passengers from point A to point B anytime on demand. This will change the face of transportation. It'll change the face of connectivity. It'll change the face of everyday life for everybody around the world when this happens. Imagine a revival for our rural communities when they can connect to urban centers in a fraction of the time for a fraction of the cost without all the congestion of a roadway. Imagine what would happen if we could transport patients from rural areas of our state to regional hospitals in a fraction of the time. Imagine a day when public transportation issues are solved for those people that are just trying to make ends meet and get from point A to point B. Imagine a day when lifts will support our first responders in natural disasters. Imagine how many jobs could be created in a state like North Carolina if we were able to take hold of an industry like this surrounding aerospace. Yes, I know this is a future think, right? It's future think. But if you want to be prepared for today, we have to think about tomorrow. If we want to be prepared today, we have to think about tomorrow. That's what vision is all about, isn't it? It's looking 20, 30, 50 years down into the future. Many of us have that license plate on the back of our cars that says first in flight. You know what I'm talking about? What if we set an aspirational goal in North Carolina to be next in flight? Aerospace is wide open, and we're going to go after it in North Carolina. And this is just one of many innovative examples of things going on all over the world that can change the face of North Carolina. North Carolina is the greatest state in the country, and we have a very bright future ahead of us. But we need a new vision, we need a new plan, and we need the right team to ensure that we're not only in the game, but we're winning the game. Let's get started.